Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 435 based on novel. So let's start. The younger a miniature universe was, the closer it was to the original universe, like Primal Chaos City Leaders, Teacher Origins, and Bug Empresses. They were all very close to the original universe. The miniature universes from the second universe era were farther from the original universe, those from the first universe era were even farther, and the two Holy Lands were quite distant from the original universe. This is the 18th miniature universe I have inspected. Luo Feng looked at the towering small universe in front of him. The 10 silver wings were all wide open, yet he couldn't sense the calling. There aren't any here. He shook his head. Fortunately, he had separated a pair of wings and disowned them. After all, the golden horned beast carrying that pair of wings with no master entered the original universe. Luo Feng was staying outside the original universe. He could clearly sense it, even with the entire original universe in the way. Apparently, the universe couldn't block the sensing. The universe can't even block the sensing from a communications token, not to mention that of Shawu wings, and it turns out to be true. Luo Feng looked to the other side. In the distance was the original universe. It seemed to cover half the universe ocean. I'm closer to other small universes. I might just go there. Luo Feng teleported and disappeared. In the primal secret region in the human territory, the remote ocean seemed tranquil. The waves were almost invisible. However, remote ocean was so enormous that those negligible waves were tens of kilometers tall. A silver-armored man walked on the waves, smiling at the space and shouting, "Teacher!" Primal Chaos City leaders showed up. "You have come back so soon." "Teacher," said Luo Feng. "Teacher rejected my gift because I didn't have a supreme true treasure armor. Now, I'm handing you the gift again." Star Tower showed up beside him, and great thunder godly armor flew out of the side gate. "You mean?" Primal Chaos City leader was shocked. He knew what Luo Feng meant. "I got a supreme true treasure armor." Luo Feng smiled. He infused his godly power into the silver armor on his back, and an ancient yet powerful force permeated. It was even stronger than Yang Jun Rod and Black Prison Tower, as the silver armor was part of his Shawu wings. That power came from the newly integrated Shawu wing. He only triggered a portion of its power, and it was already this powerful. If he actually triggered all of it, it would be beyond imagination. This was within remote ocean, so the force was suppressed so that the great beings outside the ocean wouldn't know about it. This armor? Primal Chaos City leader felt the force, and he stopped the hesitation. He just got more shocked. Where did you get it?" There were only a certain number of supreme true treasures in Universe Ocean. A new supreme true treasure from the 3 lands of Extremis? Even if there was one newly born, it must have been born in the core area, yet Luo Feng didn't go to the core area at all. There's no need for further questions. Luo Feng smirked. "I have armor now. There should be no excuse for saying no to my gift." Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng and could feel his passion. "Okay, I'll take it. However, the human race is in a much better situation now. Even if the situation gets worse, it's just going to be some conflicts between the two teams. From now on, don't give the valuables you obtain after hard work." Luo Feng nodded. That sounded right. Even those who were powerful found it difficult to attain supreme true treasure. For Universe Supreme Masters, it might be possible for them to defeat other Supreme Masters, yet it was difficult for them to kill other Supreme Masters. He only got the subsidiary armor from the extension of Shawu Wing. "Teacher, I still have something to deal with." "I should go now," said Luo Feng. "Go ahead." Primal Chaos City leader nodded and watched Luo Feng leave. Primal Chaos City leader saw the floating Great Thunder godly armor emanating ancient power, and he couldn't help thinking in amazement that this disciple of his had indeed become an incredible talent after entering Universe Ocean, opposite to being merely an ordinary talent within the human race when he was only in the original universe. Even Primal Chaos City leader had to admit that, after getting the Duandong River inheritance, Luo Feng, instead of him, held the most important role in the human race. His like Teacher Origin who led the race to its rise, Primal Chaos City leader whispered. He's even more glorious than Teacher Origin. There will be an actual peerless being that was born in the human race. Luo Feng flew out of the membrane of the original universe. "I'll go to the 21st miniature universe." Luo Feng had just traveled across the entire original universe. It would take too long a time to go around the original universe, yet he could use God country transportation within the original universe. Where are the last pair of wings? He whispered. Are they in one of the other two lands of Extremis? Each land of Extremis was around 100 million square light years. If the last pair was in any of the lands of Extremis, Luo Feng should have been able to sense them if he was in it. He could now confirm that they weren't in Tilted Peak sector. Instead of rushing to the other two lands of Extremis, he went to check all the miniature universes. Time passed. It took Luo Feng 2 years to travel from one miniature universe to another. A silver-armored being appeared in the chaos air and clenched his teeth. I've searched all the miniature universes from the 3 universe eras, and none of them have the wings. They're either in the other two lands of Extremis or the Holy Lands. I won't let you go. Luo Feng was indeed upset that he had searched for so long but couldn't find anything. Purple Moon Holy Land is the closest one. Luo Feng immediately flew toward Purple Moon Holy Land. It took him 9 days in Universe Ocean. Purple Moon Holy Land. Luo Feng stood in space, surrounded by chaos air. The giant celestial body in front of him was Purple Moon Holy Land. It was much larger than the miniature universes he had checked before. All the miniature universes from the 3 universe eras had a diameter of 100 million light years, yet Purple Moon Holy Land had a diameter of 2.1 billion light years. I'll search it first. Luo Feng teleported and got closer. He teleported several times outside Purple Moon Holy Land. He wasn't sure what the limit of the sensing distance of the 5 pairs of wings would be when facing such an enormous miniature universe, which was why he had selected several spots for sensing. As he approached the miniature universe, 100 million light years away, Luo Feng turned around and looked at his back. The 10 silver wings were open and quivering. It seemed that a summoning was coming from Purple Moon Holy Land. Summoning. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed and gazed at the gigantic Purple Moon Holy Land in front of him. The 6th pair is in Purple Moon Holy Land. He had been craving for them for a long time. He wanted to dash in, but he wasn't stupid enough to do so. Mother asterisk. Luo Feng clenched his teeth. He hadn't sworn for eras, yet he couldn't help doing it now. Why is it in Purple Moon Holy Land? How come? No matter which miniature universe the wings are in, I might be able to get them. Even if it were in Eastern Emperor Holy Land, there would still be hope, but Purple Moon Holy Land. Luo Feng was furious. Purple Moon Holy Land was his mortal enemy now. They had even tried to help other powers in the original universe to suppress the humans, and they had never even attempted to negotiate with him. Besides, he had just killed Peishing Master and seized 2 pairs of wings from him. Weird. Peishing Master had 2 pairs. Why didn't he find the last pair? Luo Feng frowned. The sensation power of 2 pairs was nothing compared to 5 pairs, only tens of light years. Purple Moon Holy Land had a diameter of 2.1 billion light years, and it had many independent space dimensions. It seemed that the last pair must be in a space where Peishing Master had never visited. No matter what, I can confirm that the last pair of wings is in Purple Moon Holy Land, thought Luo Feng. Besides, that pair of wings has always been in this Holy Land. There are 2 possibilities. 1. It's owned by a weak being like an undying fighter or universe knight who isn't qualified to leave the Holy Land. 2. Some great being put it in its storage. Nobody had ever seen that winged true treasure in Universe Ocean. After all, 1 pair was only an ordinary true treasure. Universe Masters looked down on true treasures at that level. I'm in trouble now. Luo Feng started to head to Universe Boat. It was time for him to get valuables of GF and Z. At the same time, he contacted Primal Chaos City Leader through the virtual universe. Teacher, I still have 1 component for my wing valuable, as in, the last pair of wings. Besides, I know that the last pair is in Purple Moon Holy Land. I can't do anything about it. Can someone from Hong Alliance help me get it? After all, it's only a pair of wings, which is at the ordinary true treasure level. Chances are, Purple Moon Holy Land has no idea how precious they are. The last pair of wings? Primal Chaos City Leader was anxious, too. Purple Moon Holy Land. That's indeed a handful. Leave it to me. There are many great beings in the Hong Alliance, so they might succeed. However, those wings have never been out of Purple Moon Holy Land, so I can't say for sure. It's better than nothing, said Luo Feng. I can't do anything about it. Teacher, I'll go to Universe Boat now. Just go and get the valuables of Fanzi. You've tried multiple times already, said Primal Chaos City leader. He would leave this issue to the Hong Alliance. Luo Feng stopped thinking about it and headed off to Universe Boat for the valuables of Fanzi. On board his boat of Mausoleum, Luo Feng entered the internal region of Universe Boat, persevering through numerous terrifying, dangerous domains. Although he was not afraid, he exercised vigilance and kept himself obscured so that he could grab hold of the opportunity when the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land unintentionally made a careless move. The moment he discovered one, he would make use of Star Tower to capture that great being right away, mercilessly. This way, not only could he teach those from Purple Moon Holy Land a good lesson, but he could also seize their true treasures. It was a good idea. The only problem was, even after he had spent close to 900 years traveling to finally reach the domain where the space of the Cyan secret chamber was, there was not a single time along the way when he discovered any great being from Purple Moon Holy Land. Purple Moon Holy Land is very careful and vigilant. It has been such a long journey, yet not once have I encountered anyone. Seems like the universe masters inside the universe boat have all hidden themselves with care. Luo Feng could not help lamenting as he shook his head. After all, the universe boat was extremely broad, and he had been advancing at a high rate of speed to look around. If his opponent was moving about ostentatiously, he might have discovered them somehow. But if his opponent was cautiously hiding from him, there was no way he could find them anywhere. Looking ahead into the vast space, he had already arrived at the domain where the space of the Cyan token secret chamber was. The small, greenish-black ship shot ahead very quickly. For being able to arrive within a time of close to 900 years, much credit was due to the boat of Mausoleum. With it, Luo Feng traversed many dangerous lands by charging his way through with brute force. Even supreme true treasures that could resist a certain amount of danger would be burdened by terrifying environments. Yet the boat of Mausoleum was very stable, which was why Luo Feng could solely depend on it. Along the way, Luo Feng had specially sought lands that were birthplaces of treasures and was lucky enough to obtain some ordinary pinnacle true treasures, 2 top-tier true treasures, and a senior true treasure. Once, during a conversation, Primal Chaos City leader had told Luo Feng, the boat of Mausoleum cannot be shaken. Within the 3 most dangerous lands, 90% of the terrifying dangers had no effect on it. Only the core region is likely able to stop it in its path. Solely relying on this boat of Mausoleum to search for treasures, your efficiency rate will be higher than any other great being. Riding boat of Mausoleum to roam the 3 most dangerous lands, I will be able to seek out and obtain many true treasures. How wonderful! Luo Feng was inside his boat of Mausoleum, looking far into the distance at the numerous buildings suspended on huge leaves. He drew nearer to try to feel the place out. After I obtain the treasures from Fanzi's legacy, I will roam the 3 most dangerous lands. Roaming the 3 most dangerous lands only required a trace of his consciousness. He mainly focused his spiritual energy on cultivation. After 2 days, Luo Feng found the secret chamber within the space of the Cyan token that belonged to him. This is the one. The little, greenish-black boat reduced speed and slowly descended on a huge leaf. The cabin doors opened. Luo Feng walked out and raised his head to look at the building before him. The secret chamber of the Black Token and the secret chamber of the Cyan Token are both so lacking in aesthetics. With a wave, Luo Feng put away the boat of Mausoleum. Then he slowly walked toward the ancient building. The moment his body touched it, he felt as though he had touched the surface of water. He penetrated right through to enter the internal space of the secret chamber. Luo Feng appeared in midair and looked ahead. Amidst the void space, there were 9 huge, blazing fireballs, each bigger than any ordinary star by 1,000 times. These 9 fireballs were suspended high within the void space, and they were moving in a circular motion. In the middle of the area they encircled was a suspended continent. Luo Feng stood within the void space. With a move of his mind, all 10 wings on his back spread wide, and a blurry, golden light radiated outward. In an instant, the entire space was enshrouded, and everything within it fell under his control. Just one look, and Luo Feng's expression revealed his surprise. With one step forward, he teleported himself over to the continent. The expanse of the landform was vast. He stood on a deserted land of sandstones and looked up toward the sky, where he could see light rays produced by the 9 blazing fireballs being projected onto the land. They intertwined to form a picture scroll containing characters that were made up of fire snakes. The scroll was densely covered with a mass of characters that Luo Feng was not familiar with, yet every character contained ripples that transmitted information, so Luo Feng had no trouble understanding the text. Geofancy, am a special life form. I became an undying cultivating the water law and have been cultivating since I became a universe supreme master. After I became a universe supreme master, one fine day, while I was living a peaceful life on a certain planet, I was struck by a sudden thought. On this life planet, life required water to survive, so water was the origin of life. But the entire planet needed to rely on the heat of the stars to absorb energy for all life forms to grow. The water law and fire law. These are not as simple as how we have all used to comprehend. They were not as simple as two individual laws. Water and fire both involve the origin of life, the origin of all forms of life and the origin of reproduction. Therefore, I have created my own studies, a new body of lost knowledge, water and fire origins. I have traversed the primal universe, and when the primal universe came to an end, I moved on to observing universe ocean and comprehended two reincarnation eras. Water and fire origins was getting more complete, and I believe that if I had been given enough time, I would have been able to attain an even higher level in order to transcend reincarnation. But I did not have enough time. I may have achieved a combat power that was at 10th tier as the top level, but still, I am not confident of achieving a breakthrough to transcend reincarnation. Water and fire origins was created with great efforts. After spending a long time, 3 reincarnation eras, I am most reluctant to see it disappear. My wish is that any later generations will be able to take on what I have comprehended and continue to pass down this legacy of mine. The 9 fireballs in the surroundings of void space are unique objects from Tilted Peak sector of the universe ocean. They are 9 iced crystals that have been transformed into 9 fireballs by my water and fire origins. They represented the peak of my accomplishment. Now that the 9 fireballs have become one, their might should not be spread to the outside world. Under this great continent, there is a pinnacle palace true treasure. Inside the palace you will find all the treasures I have left behind, and you will also find a low to high level inheritance of the lost knowledge I have created. I truly hope that my descendants will not let my life's work, my legacy, be lost for good. On the scroll high up in the sky, upon seeing the information that was transmitted via the characters made out of fire snakes, Luophone took in a deep breath. 10th tier as the top. Water and fire origins? Indeed, every generation will give rise to at least one peerless figure who is unparalleled in demeanor and talent, said Luophone, in awe. This Geofancy actually possessed combat power at the 10th tier as the top level. This would have been comparable to what Teacher Origin already achieved previously. He must be one of the greatest figures during his era. No wonder. No wonder he was so fixated on his legacy. It seems like his water and fire origins was indeed a body of lost knowledge that he had created and was incomparably proud of. This must be why he was so reluctant to see his efforts go down the drain and his legacy discontinued. Of course, in terms of talent, Geofancy was still no match for Teacher Origin. After all, Teacher Origin had already attained the 10th tier as the top level when he was still within the primal reincarnation era before being eternally suppressed. On the other hand, Geofancy had taken a total of 3 full reincarnation eras to reach the 10th tier as the top level. However, throughout the universe ocean, other than Teacher Origin and the ancestors of the 2 holy lands, the next strongest in line today were all great beings at the level of 9th tier as the top. This showed how talented Geofancy really had been. Water and fire origins, the origin of life? The origin of all forms of life and of reproduction? Even Luophone was touched when he learned all this. Previously, the laws that he had cultivated, whether gold, wood, water, fire, or earth, were the most fundamental laws. Furthermore, he had always cultivated them as individual laws. Never had it crossed his mind that something as simple as an individual set of laws could contain the mystery of the origin of life. If this body of lost knowledge was merely an ordinary kind of creation, then even if it were to be discontinued, there was no loss worth lamenting. But something as unique as water and fire origins, which far surpassed what other supreme masters had created. Such a body of lost knowledge was truly something worth being proud of. A peerless figure in demeanor and talent, Luophone lamented. Yet he was gone, just like that, without even achieving a breakthrough of a reincarnation era. Transcending reincarnation. Oh, transcending reincarnation. How difficult it truly is. Keep. With a random flick of his hand, Star Tower flew up right away. Following the guidance of Luophone's godly power, the 9 huge fireballs high up in space were quickly sent right into Star Tower. Rise! Luophone looked toward the continent at his side. The continent split apart, and a palace emerged from beneath. Sandstone separated into 2 sides, revealing a palace in its entirety. Luo Feng sent a trace of his godly power penetrating through this palace, and soon enough, he had made this palace true treasure recognize him as its master. The treasures inside. After this pinnacle palace true treasure had recognized Luo Feng as its master, Luo Feng could quickly learn how many treasures were inside. After sorting and summing up everything, he had a clearer picture of the treasures Jie Fanzi had left behind. What he had summed up dealt Luo Feng with a good shock. Although there were no supreme true treasures, this pile was still much more than what he had gained from killing Great Thunder Star Master, adding on the gains from sweeping through the miniature universe. There was a total of 32 pinnacle palace type and domain type true treasures, and a total of 91 ordinary pinnacle true treasures. Top-tier domain type true treasures were considered to be on this level. Ordinary top-tier true treasures, senior true treasures, and ordinary true treasures were very few. The total might have only added up to slightly more than 100. Perhaps these did not appeal much to Jie Fanzi, who was simply not interested in them. As for the large amount of various precious treasures, materials for refining true treasures, treasures for restoring godly bodies, and treasures for increasing the amount of life genes, there were many of all these, too. Not even counting the supreme true treasures, these are already riches much greater than the entire wealth of my human race. Luo Feng was awestruck. In fact, this was considered normal. The wealth of a race was mainly created by universe supreme masters. Supreme masters who were lone travelers, regardless of whether it was Jie Fanzi from eras ago, Sitting Mountain Guest, Shahu Island Leader, or several others of the current era, had no need to worry for any race. The treasures they obtained were theirs to keep, yet the treasures they had were in no way inferior to those owned by an entire race. Jie Fanzi's combat power was at the level of 10th tier as the top. During his era, he had once swept through the entire universe ocean with his great might. His only problem was that he was obsessed with the water and fire origins. He was very ambitious by nature. If he had put his heart into plundering, he would have gained even more treasures. But the amount of treasures he had was considered normal, as he had been collecting for the long period of 3 reincarnation eras. So many treasures. Therefore, I will be able to repair the final injury on the white wings of my Shawu wings. Luo Feng was happy when this realization dawned upon him. With a flip of his hand, a fist-sized, spherical crystal stone appeared in the middle of his palm. The spherical crystal stone stored a large amount of information, and all that information was what Jie Fanzi took great pride in, his water and fire origins. Let's take a look at this water and fire origins. The moment Luo Feng laid eyes on it, he was immersed. He was pleasantly surprised at what he saw. The knowledge of water and fire origins was so mysterious and magical that it qualified to be ranked within the core inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River. The pity was, Jie Fanzi had only managed to comprehend the fundamentals of the lost knowledge of water and fire origins. Yet even though the fundamentals were just built, the magical side of this lost knowledge could be subtly observed. According to what the lost knowledge of water and fire origins describes, Luo Feng said to himself. Reaching the peak of this place with a single move of intention, and taking the 2 origins, water and fire, as the core, I can instantly develop a true universe. When there is a war, the surroundings of my body can instantly become a true miniature universe. Forcing the enemies into this miniature universe, there will be no way they can survive, right? Luo Feng had been reading it for half a month, and he sighed, shaking his head. What a shame. A peerless great being just died like that. If he'd had more time, he could have transcended incarnation and created another holy land. Unfortunately, that last step. He got stuck at the last step. It was almost impossible to transcend incarnation. Otherwise, there would have been more holy lands. Jie Fanzi only comprehended the most basic material of water and fire origins. He hadn't even fully comprehended it. If he had, he might have transcended incarnation already. If someone's able to comprehend further, he'll be incredible. If someone can fully comprehend the whole thing. Luo Feng could help but exclaim. It was a powerful and special technique that pointed to the origin. Actually, even turning from true gods, universe supreme masters, to high-level beings didn't involve universe origin mysteries like life reproduction. Jie Fanzi had tried to study techniques that were far beyond his level, so he had failed. He studied it for 3 universe eras and still failed. However, Jie Fanzi's technique offers a unique path. After I become a true god, this water and fire origins will be helpful to me on fire and water when I try to transcend incarnations. Since Luo Feng had obtained the inheritance from Duandong River, he knew exactly what he should do. He would become a true god following the godly power path. After becoming a true god, he would use all the 10 basic laws: gold, wood, water, fire, mud, light, thunder, wind, time, and space, to condense a void space. Water and fire origin could help a bit as well. Actually, starting from all the 10 basic laws was the most efficient way. It was easier to use all 10 basic laws. As for Fanzi, he only used fire and water, so he had encountered too many obstacles and had finally died. Luo Feng had collected many crystal balls and valuables. At the same time, the mind in the virtual universe also told Primal Chaos City leader that happy surprise. Luo Feng, are you saying that Fanzi alone had 32 pinnacle true treasure palaces? And he had 91 ordinary pinnacle true treasures? Primal Chaos City leader was astonished. We didn't even get that many true treasures from Thunderstorm Star. That's far too many. Fanzi was at top tier level 10. Luo Feng exclaimed. He left those valuables because he wanted me to spread the inheritance. Undying fighters could already practice inheritance. As long as someone fully comprehended the water law and fire law, he could start comprehending water and fire origins. Based on the records, it was possible to reach the level of a Limit Universe Supreme Master. As for transcending incarnations, Fanzi hadn't succeeded, so that task fell on the shoulders of future generations. Fanzi left so many true treasures so that future generations could continue his inheritance. We'll definitely help. There were only 20 universe masters in the human race. It was more than enough. However, there will be more and more universe masters in the human race, said Primal Chaos City leader. We need to think about the future as well. I'll leave all that to you, teacher. Luo Feng smiled. I'll start practicing now and adventuring in the 3 lands of extremis. I'll send those valuables back to the race shortly. A great being could only use a certain number of true treasures. Fanzi had too many true treasures, so he could only leave them in the storage. Luo Feng had obtained many true treasures this time, so he would leave several for himself, giving all 4 of his godly bodies better weapons and armors. However, he alone couldn't use that many true treasures. He would rather leave them to his race, like Teacher Origin and Huge Axe Creator. I'll start practicing now. Luo Feng took a step forward and walked out of the green keepsake space. Then he started to tour the 3 lands of extremis by boat of Mausoleum. Time passed. 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years. Time passed silently, leaving no traces. During practice, a few thousand years was like a blink of an eye. Boat of Mausoleum became a silver boat. Luo Feng took the silver boat to the lands of extremis. He was well aware that he couldn't go too deep in the lands of extremis, so he only ventured into the inner area. Sometimes, he would tour around at the periphery of the core ground, but he wouldn't go too deep. Luo Feng's chief intention was to practice rather than to adventure. Tilted Peak sector was mysterious and variable. Universe Boat was a machine-type valuable and there were billions of areas within it. There were still traces of an intact Universe Boat somewhere. But Flowing Level Mountain was like a maze. Luo Feng went back to the original universe once to distribute the true treasures during his travels. The 600,000th year after Luo Feng started to tour Universe Ocean, in Flowing Level Mountain. The water stretched through time and space, and on a stone amid the water stood 3 beings. It's getting more and more dangerous, a red rock life form roared. A true treasure is about to be born. We'll see which one of us is more powerful after the true treasure is born. It also depends on our power. All 3 universe masters were looking forward to it. They were all nervous, and there was dimming light around them. Apparently, there was a domain true treasure covering the entire area. However, the domain could only cover a certain area. It couldn't cover the tumbling water. They couldn't tell in advance when the true treasures would be born. The water, which had been moving recklessly, suddenly started to move normally. The water started to gather and spin. It connected the sky and land, and there was a water spout. It's right there. All the universe masters burned their godly power and put all their efforts. A white boat burst out of the water spout, which astounded all 3 universe masters. It's Milky Way Horde leader, shouted a black creature with many wrinkles on his face. The rock great being and the double-faced, 4-armed great being were both shocked, especially the double-faced, 4-armed great being. He retreated into a palace true treasure and tried to run away. A white boat? Rumor was spread through the 3 lands of extremis that a human universe master who drove a white boat had appeared in some places where true treasures were born and had seized the true treasures. The three lands of extremis were enormous, and true treasures could be born anywhere, yet Luo Feng had seized true treasures dozens of times. Luo Feng was as talented at seizing valuables as 5 Universe Supreme Masters combined. He was so efficient because of Boat of Mausoleum. He was able to enter some dangerous places and claim the true treasures when the great beings were still waiting outside. The black creature with wrinkles and the rock-life great being stood aside and glanced at the double-faced, four-armed being trying to flee. Poor Yulan. Yulan Master was a universe master from Purple Moon Holy Land. For the past 6,000 years, Milky Way Horde leader had been journeying through the three lands of extremis. He sometimes appeared in Flowing Level Mountain, sometimes in Universe Boat, and other times in Tilted Peak Sector. He always showed up with a great shock. If he met a Universe Master from Purple Moon Holy Land, he would capture them immediately. Nobody knew whether he captured them or killed them. In the 6,000 years after Luo Feng killed Peishing Master, he had captured 3 more Universe Masters from Purple Moon Holy Land. Even though most Universe Masters from Purple Moon Holy Land had returned to the Holy Land after the news, some Universe Masters were reluctant to retreat. Instead, they stayed out and simply tried to be careful. Yulan has being very careful, and he only showed up because a true treasure is about to be born. We didn't expect that Milky Way Horde leader would have his eyes on that true treasure as well. Milky Way Horde leader must have been in the waters, so they couldn't detect him. Now that he has emerged, it's too late. The black, wrinkled creature and the rock life both sighed. Everyone knew that Milky Way Horde leader wouldn't attack Universe Masters if they didn't mess with him. Milky Way Horde leader only targeted those from Purple Moon Holy Land, the Fire Origin race, and the Dragon Rock race. Those from the Fire Origin race and the Dragon Rock race had already hidden in the miniature universes. Only those from Purple Moon Holy Land still dared to come out. Stop fighting, Yulan Master. The white boat flew over, and a 9-story tower showed up and suddenly expanded. Yulan Master was trying to fly away from the abyss at the bottom of the tower. Star Tower started to suck it in. Yulan Master flew out of his true treasure palace and attempted to flee. Milky Way Horde leader, Milky Way Horde leader. Purple Moon Holy Land won't let you go. They never will. Luo Feng drove his Star Tower again and tried to absorb Yulan Master, who had previously targeted the true treasure palace. No. Yulan Master tried to get out, but he was still being swallowed. He became smaller as he got closer to the bottom of Star Tower and then was completely swallowed. A voice came from the white boat. 2. Sorry, I'm passing by, but I'll take the true treasure. The 2 Universe Masters standing at the top of the mountain were both humble. The white boat flew away. The white boat became black once it flew away. Even its shape changed. In the space of suppression of Star Tower, Yulan Master with 2 faces and 4 arms sought the 3 beings in the distance. The other 3 Universe Masters from Purple Moon Holy Land saw Yulan and walked forward. Yulan. Why are you here? Yulan. How were you captured? A white-caped being appeared in the space of suppression. It was a young man with black hair. Milky Way Horde leader. Luo Feng. All 4 Universe Masters, including Yulan, glared at him. The white-caped man shook his head and sighed. Don't look at me like that. It's not that I want to kill you. It's that your ancestor refuses to save you. Don't blame me. This video will end here.